Hi guys, this is Ranjit, and in this video, let's do a comparison between the Galaxy S20 Plus and the iPhone 11 Pro Max. In fact, this is my friend's iPhone 11 Pro Max. He wanted to test out an Android phone, so I took it out from him, and I've been actually using this one, and I posted about it on Twitter, and quite a few of you have asked me, what do I feel about the iPhone 11 Pro Max? So I thought, why not compare it with this Galaxy S20 Plus, because I have been actually using this one for quite some time. So let's do a practical comparison. What do I feel about this? And I won't get into a debate between iOS or Android in this video. We'll just do a practical comparison. And the first thing that I noticed is that in terms of weight, definitely the iPhone 11 Pro Max weighs a lot, it's a lot more heavier. In fact, I googled about it, the iPhone actually weighs 226 grams, which is actually quite heavy compared to the S20 Plus. The S20 Plus weighs just 186 grams. So that is one thing that I noticed immediately. And this makes a huge difference because you're carrying your phone every day. So if you're in a shop, just try out both the phones and see which one do you feel is comfortable. Moving to another thing is that I'll just place it side by side. The S20 Plus is slightly bigger. In fact, in terms of resolution also, the S20 Plus is slightly higher in resolution. In fact, this goes to the PPI of about 525. Whereas the iPhone, the PPI has a smaller screen, 6.5. And the PPI of this one, if I recall, goes to 458. Anyways, but the thing is that if I place this over the iPhone, this edge is over the same. If you notice here, as you can see, the iPhone width is slightly more, and this makes a huge difference, I would say, when you hold this one, because this has slightly narrower, but it's easier to hold in a single hand. Whereas the iPhone, definitely, it's a very wide phone, and holding it like this slightly difficult. So again, that is something that I immediately noticed. And now moving to one more thing, this is having Samsung Pay. Again, it has the full version of Samsung Pay, so it works with any credit card machine and stuff, and it works very well in India. I have been using it for quite some time. Apple also has Apple Pay, but the thing is that as of now in India, Apple Pay is simply not supported, so you can't use it for digital payments. So that is something I actually miss quite a bit, because due to the COVID situation, I'm mostly relying on digital payments, and that works with the Samsung one. Now moving to another thing, and this is regarding battery. Both of them could last me for a typical working day, but I would say the iPhone 11 Pro Max definitely goes ahead in battery. It was easily lasting me for about 1.5 days without any issue. So in terms of battery stamina, I would say the iPhone goes ahead. But in terms of charging, now fortunately the iPhone also supports faster charging, and an 80-watt fast charger is supplied, but we get a 25-watt fast charger on the Samsung. So that is also something you have to note. Now talking about the processor, the Galaxy S20 Plus comes in two variants, the Snapdragon 865 and the Exynos 990. In India, we are getting the Exynos variant, whereas the Apple, you get the Apple A30 Bionic chip, which is sort of a beast, I would say. In terms of daily performance, I did not notice any lag with either of these phones. I would say in day-to-day performance, they're very, very fluid. So in that way, you don't have to worry about either of these phones. All of them will load stuff fine without any issues. So in that way, the processor is not the bottleneck. But if you do very heavy gaming, I would say the iPhone might go slightly ahead. It's not like I could do any gaming with the Galaxy S20 Plus, but with extended gaming, I feel the Galaxy S20 Plus heats up a lot more compared to the iPhone. But in one area, I would say, definitely I felt that the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus is more smooth was in UI, and you might be surprised, and that is due to the fact that this Samsung actually, let me show you the display option, supports that 120 Hertz option, and if you keep it on 120 Hertz, the UI operation, I don't know if you are able to see it, is very, very smooth. As you can see, very smooth, even smoother than the UI animations that I see on the iPhone, because the iPhone is restricted to 60 Hz. So in daily usage, I would say in terms within the UI, I strangely felt that this Samsung felt more fluid in operations because of that 120 Hz screen. So that is also something you got to Note. Again, if you're playing around with both these phones, check that in a store. You will also be surprised. Now, moving to another thing is that the Samsung comes with actually a dual nano SIMs, and it's a hybrid, micro SD card slot. Whereas on the iPhone, actually we only get one physical SIM, that's a nano, and the second SIM is actually an eSIM. In fact, my friend uses this iPhone, and he says that he misses that second SIM. And I asked him, why don't you use that eSIM? He says that he just does not like to use a eSIM. So he's actually carrying another phone because he has to use that other SIM. So that might be a case scenario for you. If you want to use two physical SIMs, then it's that is available on the S20 Plus. And also you have that, if you don't use that second SIM, you can use it for expanding the storage via micro SD card. We don't have any expansion on the iPhone. And this is one thing that really surprised me, and I'm annoyed with Apple. The base variant of the iPhone 11 Pro Max comes with just 64 gigabytes of storage. Yes. And if I were you, and if you're using this phone as your primary driver, after 6-7 months, that 64 gigabytes storage will not be enough for you. And let's not even talk about the price. The base variant that comes with 64 gigabytes is for about 1,70,000 for the iPhone. But as I told you, that 64 gigabytes is just not enough. So you have to bump up. And the next option is 256. And sadly in India, after this price hike, the price for that 256 gigabyte is about 132K. That is 1,32,000. So certainly very, very expensive if you want to go with the 256 gigabyte variant. Whereas on the Samsung, mostly it's sold only in one variant in India. That is that 128 gigabyte variant. And even after this GST hike, the price is about 78,000. And again, I feel you do have that expansion slot. So in terms of storage, definitely I would say the Samsung goes ahead. And again, if you look at the price difference now, the price difference is also quite a bit between these two smartphones. But certainly, if you're going with this iPhone 11 Pro Max, I definitely feel that 64 gigabyte variant might not be enough. So you are forced to go with that 256 gigabyte variant. So that is another practical thing that you have to keep in mind. Now let's also talk about one more thing. That is actually the cameras on this one. If you look at the iPhone, we have the triple camera, and it's very simple. All the three cameras are actually 12 megapixel. Main is 12 megapixel, then that zoom, that is 2x is 12 megapixel, and ultra wide is 12 megapixel. Even the front facing is actually 12 megapixel. Whereas on the Samsung, we have a quad camera setup at the back, and the main is still 12 megapixel optically stabilized. Then next we have a 64 megapixel. This is actually 3x zoom. This is also optically stabilized. Then again we have a 12 megapixel, which is actually again that ultra wide, and the fourth is for time of flight, that is depth. The front facing is that punch hole notch, which is again a 10 megapixel. Again, I completely forgot. With the iPhone, you do get this notch, and I've been used to many of the Android phones that are almost notchless, or they have a punch hole. And definitely, when watching the video, I would say the experience is better on this one. Here, the notch actually did bother me quite a bit, and you do notice it. So that is also something you have to know. Now, as we are talking about the notch and stuff, another small thing that completely forgot is that because of this current COVID situation, we are wearing masks and stuff. And this iPhone, the main unlocking mechanism is that Face ID. It sees your face and unlocks. And it works actually very well. But again, if you're wearing a mask, again, many times it will not recognize, and you have to remove the mask. That is not the case with this one, because on this, you would be actually relying on this ultrasonic fingerprint scanner. And definitely the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner has improved quite a bit, and I feel this is more practical. Another small thing, if you noticed, is that when you keep both these phones to standby, let me do that, we don't have any always on display on the iPhones, whereas we do have the always on display on the Samsung, and it's just glancing at, you know, what's the time, what's the battery level, and what are the notifications you have. So this is again another small thing that I really appreciate. I don't know why iPhones do not implement that. So as we were talking about the camera, let me actually show you a lot of sample shots side by side so that you get a better idea regarding the camera. So these are the snaps taken side by side. Notice the difference in the sky a little bit. As you can see, in terms of sharpness and everything, both look actually very close to other. But in this picture, I notice a stark difference. You decide which one do you feel is better. And here both look actually good. But when I zoomed in, I noticed that the rust, if you notice, the Samsung got it better. So in details, I felt the Samsung was doing slightly better. This is that that 3x zoom and that 2x zoom, and this is that wide angle lens. Again, in this picture, I felt that the Samsung got the rust a little bit right compared to the iPhone. Now moving to human subjects, there is slight difference in the color with the skin tones that you notice. But notice the grass. I was very surprised that the iPhone is boosting and saturating the colors a lot more than the Samsung, which was very surprising to me. And again, some more samples, as you can see here, I feel both of them actually did pretty good. So as you can see, the cameras are neck to neck in most situations with these smartphones. As you can, both of them I feel are actually doing a terrific job, and these were taken with the front facing camera. And as you can see, in outdoor conditions, the front facing camera performance is actually really good with both. But in indoor lighting, I felt that the iPhone's front facing camera did slightly better compared to the Samsung. And now moving to some of the night shots, here I felt quite a bit of a difference. In fact, I would say the white balance, the iPhone got it wrong most of the time. In fact, if you look at this picture, the left one actually is looking what it actually looks from my flat. It's more natural, whereas on the iPhone, it's making it bluish. In fact, even in my studio, this one, if you notice, the iPhone, it's actually yellow lights that I have in my studio, but the iPhone made it look like white. So that is something you have to know. This was taken in night mode and I didn't feel a lot of difference, but when I zoom in, just notice that inverter wording under Panasonic, it is more sharper on the Samsung. One more sample, again, this was again also in pretty low lighting, and the iPhone lit it up a lot more, I would say. And many times I noticed in artificial lighting, the iPhone was getting the white balance wrong. It was messing it up quite a bit, which is very, very surprising. The Samsung got the white balance and the colors actually correct in the artificial and indoor lighting, and I also feel it was slightly sharper. In fact, I ran this blind test, A/B testing on Twitter, and it got almost about 3 lakh views, and most of you rated the camera one as the winner. That was the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus. So these were the practical differences between these two smartphones, and I feel it's up to you to decide which one is more practical for you. And again, there is that huge cost difference also between these two smartphones. So guys, that's it for now for this comparison. And guys, if you're still not subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, guys.